You know that moment when you're talking to a woman and everything feels right, but then she pulls back and you have no idea why. Here's what you're missing. It's not what you said. It's not your looks or your confidence level. It's something you're doing without even realizing it. Most men focus on what to say, how to be funny, how to seem confident. But women are reading something completely different. Something so subtle that you're sending signals right now and you have no clue what they mean. And if you don't know what you're communicating, you're gambling every single time. Here's the brutal truth. There are 9 specific things that make the difference between nice guy I met and man I can't stop thinking about. And most men have no clue they're even doing them. I'm about to show you exactly what these 9 elements are, why they work on a psychological level, and how to control them naturally. This isn't about faking confidence. It's about understanding the language she's actually responding to. But before we dive into the 9, let me clarify something important. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. These aren't tricks to deceive anyone. What we're talking about is communication. The reality is, you're already sending signals whether you realize it or not. The question is whether you're sending the ones you intend to. These 9 elements are rooted in psychology, biology, and the way human attraction actually works, not the Disney version. The real version that happens beneath conscious awareness. I'm here to decode what's already happening so you can stop guessing and start calibrating. So here's the deeper question most men never ask. Why does trying harder usually make things worse? Because most men mistake effort for effectiveness. They think attraction is built through impressive displays, perfect words, or relentless pursuit. But here's what actually happens. The more you try to create attraction, the more she senses your need for her approval. And that need, that desperation energy, kills desire instantly. Women are hardwired to screen for emotional congruence. That means her brain is constantly asking, does this man's behavior match his internal state? When you're doing things to get a reaction, she picks up on the incongruence. You're not being present, you're performing. And the performance itself becomes a signal that you don't believe you're enough without it. Think about the men who effortlessly attract women. They're not doing more. They're not working harder. They're doing less, but with complete intention. Their gestures aren't calculated to impress. They're natural expressions of their actual state. That's the difference. So here's the real issue. Typical dating advice tells you to be bold, make strong eye contact, take up space, escalate quickly. And those things can work, but only if they're coming from genuine confidence. If you're faking it, she'll feel the incongruence in under 30 seconds. Your words say confident, but your body says anxious. That gap, that's what kills the connection. So what are these 9 elements that communicate without that gap? Here's exactly what we're covering. 9 specific elements, broken into 5 sections. We start with foundational spatial control gestures that anyone can do. Then we layer in dominance without aggression. At the midpoint, I'll show you gesture number 5, which is completely counterintuitive and breaks every rule you've been taught. After that, micro signals of social desirability. And finally, the integration gestures that make everything work together. By the end, you'll have the complete blueprint. Not theory. Not vague advice. Exact moves with psychological breakdowns. Stay with me. Gesture 5 is where this gets interesting. Let's start with the foundation. The first 2 gestures establish spatial control, not dominance. Control. There's a difference. Gesture number 1. The delayed reaction. When she speaks, don't respond immediately. Pause 2 to 3 seconds. Hold her gaze. Give a slight nod if you need to acknowledge you heard her. Then respond. Most men are reactive. Someone says something, they jump to answer. That reactivity signals you're seeking approval or validation. The delay signals you're processing, considering, responding from a grounded place. Women test for this constantly. They'll say something provocative or ask a loaded question, and they're watching how quickly you react. Too fast. You're in your head, anxious to please, slow, deliberate. You're present and centered. Picture this. She says something like, "You seem really confident. Do you always get what you want?" The reactive man immediately jumps to either prove it or deny it. The grounded man pauses, holds eye contact, maybe smiles slightly, then responds calmly. That pause communicates he doesn't need to defend or explain himself. The psychology here is simple. Humans pursue what doesn't immediately pursue them back. That 2-second pause creates micro-tension. She said something, you're considering it, and in that gap, her brain is wondering what you're thinking. You become slightly less available, slightly more valuable, without saying a word. It's the difference between reacting to her and responding from your own center. Gesture number 2. The asymmetric lean. When she leans in during conversation, you lean slightly away. Not dramatically. We're talking 15 to 20 degrees of upper body angle. She's engaged, moving closer, and you maintain distance. This feels counterintuitive because you've been told to mirror and match energy. But mirroring shows you're following her lead. The asymmetric lean shows you're comfortable with space and not desperate to close it. Here's a practical example. You're at a bar or coffee shop. Conversation is flowing. She's interested, so she leans forward across the table. The typical response is to lean in too. Meet her halfway. Don't keep your posture back. Maybe even shift your weight slightly onto your back foot. If you're standing, stay engaged verbally. Maintain eye contact. But physically, hold your ground. This creates a subtle pull dynamic where she's moving toward you and you're not rushing to meet her. Here's why it works. People chase what moves away from them. It's called the scarcity principle. When you stay back while she comes forward, you're demonstrating that you don't need proximity to feel comfortable. You're not feeding off her energy. You have your own, and that self-sufficiency is magnetic because it's rare. Most men collapse into whatever space the woman creates. You hold your space. Foundation set. Now we layer in dominance without aggression. The next 2 gestures add subtle authority without coming across as aggressive or controlling. They're about directive presence. Gesture number 3. The palm down touch. Anytime you make incidental physical contact, your hand orientation matters more than you think. Palm up positioning is submissive. It's asking. Palm down positioning is directive. It's guiding. When you touch her lower back to guide her through a door, when you tap her arm to get her attention, when you gesture during conversation, your palm should face down, not up. This is subconscious dominance. She won't consciously notice whether your palm is up or down, but her brain processes it immediately. Palm up reads as pleading or seeking permission. Palm down reads as calm authority. The touch itself should be brief, never lingering. You're not grabbing or holding, you're directing attention or movement, and then releasing. That combination of directive touch plus immediate release communicates confidence without possession. Here's the critical part. The touch must be natural and contextual. Forcing it makes it weird. But when you naturally guide her around someone in a crowded space, when you direct her attention to something you're pointing at, when you gently touch her shoulder to emphasize a point, palm orientation sends a clear power signal. Down equals directive. Up equals deferential. Gesture number 4. The grounded stance shift. When standing near her, plant your feet shoulder-width apart and shift your weight slightly back onto your heels. Most men lean forward when they're interested. They shift their weight onto the balls of their feet, tilting toward the woman. That forward lean signals seeking you want something from her. The grounded stance does the opposite. You're rooted. When you shift weight to your heels and widen your stance slightly, you appear unmovable. You're not reaching toward her energy. You're established in your own. Women read this as stability. When she's animated, moving, expressing herself, and you remain centered and still, you become the grounding force in the interaction. You are the approval, not seeking it. This doesn't mean being stiff or robotic. You can still gesture, laugh, engage. But your foundational stance remains planted. You're the tree, she's the breeze. And that difference in energy states creates polarity, which creates tension, which creates attraction. And this is where it gets counterintuitive. Gesture number 5 breaks all the rules. This is the one that confuses most men because everything you've been taught says the opposite. Pay attention to this one. The strategic conversation exit. When the conversation is going well, when she's laughing, engaged, genuinely interested, you end it first. You excuse yourself. You create the break while things are peaking, not after they've declined. Most men think, if it's going well, keep it going. Ride the wave. Maximize the time. Stay until she gives you her number or you've exhausted every topic. Wrong. Here's what actually happens when you do that. The energy peaks. Then it plateaus. Then it slowly declines. And by the time you finally end the conversation, she's already mentally checked out or worse. She's relieved it's over. You overstayed. Now you're associated with that declining energy, and that's what she remembers. But when you exit at the peak, you leave her wanting more. The Zeigarnik effect kicks in. Her brain obsesses over unfinished interactions. The conversation felt good. It was building momentum. And then you had somewhere to be. Now she's replaying it, wondering what you would have said next, wishing it had lasted longer. You become the thing she didn't get enough of. And humans always want more of what they can't fully have. Here's how to execute it. You're 10 minutes into a conversation. There's chemistry. She's giving you her full attention, laughing at your observations. Right there. At that moment when most men double down and try to close the deal or extract a number, you say something simple like, I need to handle something, but this was great. Let's continue this later. And you leave. Clean exit. Smile. No hesitation. Don't linger. Don't backtrack. Just go. This is the invisible gesture most men completely miss. They think staying longer builds more attraction. It doesn't. It gives her time to find reasons to disqualify you, to notice flaws, to second-guess the chemistry. Leaving at the peak makes you scarce, memorable, and more valuable. She doesn't get to finish evaluating you. That incompleteness creates psychological tension that keeps you in her mind long after you've left. And the best part, when you re-engage later, you're not starting from zero. You're continuing something that already felt good. She's already invested. You controlled the frame by controlling the timing. That's the one that changes everything. Now let's add the signals that amplify it. The next 2 gestures multiply the effect by adding social proof displays. These aren't about her. They're about demonstrating you have options. Gesture number 6. The peripheral awareness display. When you're with her, briefly acknowledge other people in the environment. Not obviously. Not in a way that disrespects her. But if someone walks by that you know, give a quick nod or acknowledgement. Then immediately return your focus to her. If a waiter approaches, make brief eye contact with them, handle the interaction, then come back to the conversation with her. Here's why this matters. Most men tunnel vision on the woman they're interested in. They focus so hard on impressing her that they ignore everything and everyone else. And that singular focus communicates desperation. It tells her she's the only option, the only person who matters in the room. But when you demonstrate social awareness, when you acknowledge others naturally and then return to her, you're subtly communicating that you're comfortable in social environments, that people know you, that you're not hyper-focused on securing her approval. The key is the return. You don't linger with the other person. You acknowledge them, and then you bring your attention back to her. That return shows she has your focus by choice, not by default. And the brief departure shows you have other connections, other relationships, other value in the world. It's pre-selection without being obvious about it. Gesture number 7. The selective smile. Don't smile constantly. Smile at her words or actions, not at her presence. Most men smile the entire time they're talking to a woman they're attracted to. That constant smile signals you're just happy to be there, happy she's giving you attention. It's approval seeking. Instead, maintain a pleasant, warm, but neutral expression as your baseline. When she says something clever, funny, or genuine, smile fully. When she's just talking normally, stay neutral. This turns your smile into a reward. She said something that earned a reaction from you. And that variability, that selective nature of your positive responses, creates a subconscious reward-seeking behavior in her. She wants to earn your smile again. This is the variable reward schedule, the most powerful conditioning tool in psychology. Slot machines work on this principle. You don't win every time, so you keep playing to get the next win. When your smile is given freely, it loses value. When it's earned, it becomes something she seeks. And that seeking creates investment. 2 more gestures complete the system. Gestures 8 and 9 are about advanced calibration. These require more awareness, but they tie everything together. Gesture number 8. Mirrored energy with a lag. Match her energy level, but delay it by 30 to 60 seconds. When she gets excited about something, stay calm and attentive. Let her peak. Then, after she settles slightly, you let yourself warm up to match that enthusiasm. The lag shows you're not reactive to her emotional state. You're processing it, considering it, and then choosing to meet her there. Most men mirror immediately. She laughs, they laugh. She gets excited, they get excited. That instant mirroring makes you a follower. But when you lag the mirror by even 30 seconds, you become the one setting the pace. She experiences your emotional shifts as deliberate, not automatic. And that deliberateness communicates emotional control, which is deeply attractive. This doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means not being a passenger on her emotional roller coaster. When she shares exciting news, respond with calm interest first. Ask a clarifying question. Let her elaborate. Then, once you've fully absorbed what she's telling you, let yourself show enthusiasm. You're not dampening her joy. You're grounding it first, then joining it. That dynamic positions you as the stable force she can lean into. Gesture number 9. Intentional proximity breach, then retreat. Briefly enter her personal space, 12 to 18 inches, then return to normal conversational distance. Lean in close to hear her in a loud environment. Stay there for 2 to 3 seconds, then pull back. Reach across her to grab something, creating momentary closeness, then return to your space. This creates physical awareness. She notices when you're close. She notices when you pull away. And those two sensations together create tension. The closeness feels intimate. The retreat leaves her wanting that proximity back. You're not invading her space in a creepy way. You're entering it with purpose. for a functional reason, and then respecting the boundary by leaving. That in and out creates a cycle of awareness that keeps her physically conscious of you. Now here's how to use these. Don't try all 9 in one interaction. That's overload. Start with gestures 1, 2, and 4. Foundation. Grounded presence. Once those feel natural, add gesture 5 when you sense high engagement. Layer in 6 and 7 in social settings where others are present. Then, when you've got the basics down, use 8 and 9 for advanced calibration. These aren't tricks. They're communication tools. You're learning to control what you're already sending. And once you master that control, the signals become natural. You won't be thinking about palm orientation or stance width. You'll just be present, and your presence will communicate all of this automatically. Now here's the truth about all of this that no one tells you. Most men fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they do it for the wrong reason. And here's the controversial part. If you're using these gestures to get her approval, she'll sense the incongruence. These gestures work because they reflect an internal state, not because they create one. Let me be clear about what I mean. If you delay your reaction because you're trying to look grounded, but internally you're anxious and seeking validation, that gap will show. If you lean away to create scarcity, but internally you're desperate for her attention, she'll feel it. The gestures aren't magic tricks. They're external expressions of internal confidence. And if the internal state doesn't match the external gesture, you're back to performing. So here's what these 9 gestures actually are. Training wheels. When you practice delayed reactions, you're training yourself to actually be less reactive. When you practice the grounded stance, you're building the neural pathways of stability. When you practice the strategic exit, you're reprogramming your scarcity mindset. Over time, these gestures don't just look like confidence. They build it. That's the part no one tells you. These aren't shortcuts around developing yourself. They're the path to developing yourself. You can't fake your way into authentic confidence, but you can behave your way into it. The body teaches the mind, and these 9 gestures are the curriculum. So the real question isn't will these work? It's are you willing to practice being the man who doesn't need them to work? Because when you get there, when these gestures become natural expressions of who you actually are, that's when you stop worrying about attraction. You become it. So let me ask you, which of these 9 gestures surprised you the most? Which one are you going to try first? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. I want to know what landed, what challenged you, what clicked. This isn't just a one-way information dump. This is a conversation, and your feedback helps me understand where you are, what you need next, where the gaps still exist. Because here's what this channel is really about. Decoding the psychology so you stop guessing and start knowing. No fluff. No generic just be yourself advice. We break down the actual mechanics of attraction, the invisible dynamics that most men never see. And if you're here, that means you value truth over comfort. You'd rather know how things actually work than keep pretending nice platitudes are enough. You now have the exact blueprint. 9 gestures. The psychology behind each one. The integration framework. Everything you need to stop performing and start connecting. Don't just watch this and do nothing. Pick one. Practice it. See what shifts. That's how you move from anxious to attractive. And remember this. Subtle doesn't mean weak. It means precise. That's the difference.